Food still warm on the plates, coffee cups half full, a 2-year-old's toys scattered on the floor, the ship's clock still ticking. But everyone's gone. 10 people. Vanished. No blood, no violence, no distress signal. Just an empty ship sailing itself across the Atlantic Ocean. December 4th, 1872. This is the Mary Celeste. And what happened here is going to make you question everything you think you know about reality. Because I'm going to prove to you that the official explanation is a lie. Here's what nobody wants to talk about. 3 different cases, 3 different time periods, all with the same impossible signature. 1954. A man insists reality is wrong. The maps are wrong. His country should exist. Then vanishes from a locked room. 1945. Experienced pilots report the ocean looks wrong, reality looks wrong, then vanish without trace. 1872. A crew abandons a perfect ship, chooses death over staying. See the pattern? In every case, people experience reality breaking down, and then they're gone. That's not coincidence. That's a signature. And by the end of this series, you're going to see what's causing it. But first, let me show you exactly what happened on the Mary Celeste. Because this is where the pattern gets disturbing. November 7th, 1872. New York Harbor. The Mary Celeste prepares to depart. It's a merchant brigantine, about 100 feet long, well-maintained, seaworthy, built in 1861, reliable. The captain is Benjamin Briggs, 37 years old, experienced sailor. He's been sailing since childhood. His father was a sea captain. His brothers are sea captains. Sailing is in his blood. But more importantly, Briggs is careful, methodical, religious, a family man. He's part owner of the ship, financial stake. He doesn't take risks. He doesn't gamble with his investment, and he definitely doesn't gamble with his family, because his wife Sarah is sailing with him, and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. That's unusual but not unprecedented. Some captains bring family on longer voyages. Sarah has sailed before. She's comfortable at sea. 7 crew members complete the roster, all experienced, all with good records, no troublemakers, no conflicts, 10 people total. The cargo is 1,701 barrels of denatured alcohol, industrial alcohol, not drinkable, for manufacturing. Destination, Genoa, Italy. The voyage should take about a month. Standard Atlantic crossing. Ships do it constantly. The weather forecast is good. The ship is loaded, inspected. Everything is in order. November 7th, they sail. Briggs keeps a detailed captain's log every day. Weather, position, course, everything by the book. This is what careful captains do, document everything. For 3 weeks, the entries are routine. Smooth sailing, good wind, no problems. The crew settles into rhythm. Sarah helps with meals. Sophia plays on deck when weather permits. It's a pleasant voyage, the kind sailors hope for. Boring, predictable, safe. November 25th, the last log entry, morning, position. About 400 miles west of the Azores. Weather, clear, wind, moderate. Course, east toward Gibraltar. Nothing unusual, nothing concerning, just another routine entry, the kind Briggs has made hundreds of times before. And then the log stops. No final entry, no distress note, no explanation, no goodbye. Just stops mid-voyage, like someone put down the pen planning to pick it up later, but never came back. That's the last anyone hears from the Mary Celeste for 9 days. December 4th, 1872, 9 days later. Captain David Morehouse is sailing the Dei Gratia, same route, New York to Gibraltar, carrying petroleum. It's mid-afternoon, clear day, good visibility. One of his crew spots a ship in the distance. They watch it for 2 hours. And something is very wrong. The ship is under partial sail but drifting, moving erratically, not responding to wind properly, zigzagging, like no one is steering, like no one is controlling it. Morehouse studies it through his spyglass. His stomach drops. He recognizes the ship, the Mary Celeste. He knows that ship, knows the captain. They'd had dinner together in New York before both ships sailed. Briggs had seemed fine, normal, excited about the voyage, looking forward to time with his family. Morehouse tries to hail them, calls out across the water, no response. The ship drifts, silent. Something is very, very wrong. He makes a decision. Send a boarding party. His first mate, Oliver DeVoe, volunteers. Takes 2 men with him. They lower a small boat, row across. The ocean is calm. Takes about 10 minutes. They pull alongside the Mary Celeste, call out, "Hello? Captain Briggs?" Nothing, just silence. They grab the railing, climb aboard, and everything is wrong. DeVoe's boots hit the deck. The sound echoes. That's the first sign something's wrong. Ships with crews are never this quiet. There's always noise, voices, work, movement, sailors calling out, ropes being pulled, commands being given. But the Mary Celeste is silent, dead silent, just the creak of wood and the sound of water against the hull. He calls out again. His voice sounds wrong in the emptiness, like shouting in a tomb. No response. He walks across the deck, every footstep too loud, and then he sees the wheel, abandoned, spinning slightly with the motion of the ship. No one steering, no one watching. The ship is sailing itself. The deck is deserted, no one at watch, no crew. The rigging is a mess. Some sails are set, others are loose, flapping in the wind, like someone was adjusting them and stopped halfway, or like they left in a hurry and didn't finish. DeVoe motions to his men. They split up, search the ship, systematically. The captain's cabin first. DeVoe opens the door, steps inside. It's neat, orderly, almost unnaturally so. The captain's log sits on the desk. Open. Last entry, November 25th, 9 days ago. DeVoe picks it up, reads it. Nothing unusual, just position and weather. Routine entry, no indication of problems, no concerns, no mention of anything wrong. He looks around the cabin. The captain's sword hangs on the wall, still in its sheath, untouched. Navigation instruments are in place, sextant, chronometer, charts rolled neatly, all there. Everything a captain needs to navigate. The bed is made, perfectly made. Sarah's things are arranged neatly on a small dresser. A sewing machine sits near the porthole, cloth still in it. Mid-stitch, like she'd been working and just stepped away, planning to come right back. Sophia's toys are in a small trunk at the foot of the bed. A doll, wooden blocks, a small blanket. Everything a child would need for a long voyage. Everything normal, everything waiting. DeVoe moves to the galley. And this is where it gets disturbing. Food is laid out, plates on the table, some with food still on them, partially eaten, or maybe just served. Hard to tell. Coffee cups, half full. The coffee is cold now, but it was warm once, recently. Utensils placed like people were about to eat, or were eating. A pot sits on the stove, cold, but there is food in it, prepared, ready. The scene looks like everyone just stood up, mid-meal, and walked away. Left everything, left their breakfast, left their coffee, left their lives, and never came back. Stop for a second. Picture this. You're eating breakfast with your family, Your 2-year-old daughter is playing with her toys. Your wife is sewing. Everything is normal, safe, routine. And then you see something that makes you stop mid-bite, something that makes you drop your fork, something that makes you grab your child and run. You don't take your coat, don't finish your coffee, don't grab food or water. You just run into a lifeboat, into certain death. Think about that level of terror, that instant, overwhelming, primal terror. That's what happened here. That's what this scene tells us. Something made 10 people abandon breakfast and run for their lives. The crew quarters tell the same story. DeVoe checks each one. Personal belongings everywhere, clothes hanging, books on small shelves, pipes, tobacco. Everything sailors keep on long voyages. Nothing packed, nothing taken, no signs anyone prepared to leave, no sea bags packed, no coats missing, just normal quarters, frozen in time, waiting for people who will never return. It's like everyone just evaporated, mid-action, mid-life. One moment there, next moment gone. DeVoe checks the cargo hold, climbs down the ladder into the belly of the ship. It's dark down here. He lights a lantern. The alcohol fumes are strong, but not overwhelming, not dangerous, just the normal smell of a ship carrying alcohol. He counts the barrels. All 1,701 are accounted for. Well, almost. 9 are empty, but that's normal. Some leakage over a month at sea is expected. Standard. The hold has about 3.5 feet of water in the bottom. That sounds like a lot. But it's completely normal. Ships take on water. It seeps through the planks. They pump it out regularly. 3.5 feet is manageable, routine, not even worth mentioning in a log. Certainly not enough to make anyone think the ship is sinking, not even close. DeVoe goes back on deck. He needs to think. The ship is fine, completely seaworthy, could sail for months without issue, no damage, no leaks, no structural problems, nothing that would make anyone abandon ship. But something is missing. He looks at the davits, the mechanisms that hold the ship's boat, the lifeboat. They're empty. The small emergency boat is gone, maybe 15 feet long, designed for short-term survival if the ship sinks, not for long journeys, not for crossing oceans. It's missing. And there's something else, a rope, a long rope trailing from the ship into the water. One end is tied securely to the railing. The other end disappears into the ocean. Cut or broken, hard to tell. But it was attached to something. The lifeboat probably. Which means they tied the lifeboat to the ship before they left. Why would you do that? Why tie your lifeboat to the ship unless you plan to come back? Unless you thought you were leaving temporarily? Unless whatever you saw or experienced made you think you needed to get off the ship right now, but you'd be coming back soon? Before we go further, I need to tell you something that's going to sound impossible. But I have documentation, official records. Stay with me because this detail changes everything. The rope, that rope trailing from the Mary Celeste, they analyzed it later. During the investigation, it was cut, not frayed from rubbing against the ship, not broken from stress, cut, deliberately cut. Someone in that lifeboat had a knife, and they cut themselves free from the ship. After they were already in the lifeboat, after they'd already rowed away, think about that. You're in a lifeboat, in the open Atlantic Ocean, attached to your ship by a safety rope, your only connection to survival. And you cut it. You cut your lifeline. You choose to drift away from the only thing that could save you. What makes you do that? What are you trying to get away from so badly that you cut your own lifeline? What's on that ship that makes being adrift in a tiny boat seem safer? Deveau signals to his men. They row back to the Dei Gratia, report to Morehouse. They discuss what they found. Under maritime law, abandoned ships can be claimed for salvage. The cargo is valuable. Denatured alcohol worth money. The ship itself is worth thousands. But more importantly, someone needs to sail it to port. Can't leave it drifting. It's a hazard to other ships. Could collide, could cause accidents. Morehouse makes a decision. Put a crew aboard the Mary Celeste. Sail both ships to Gibraltar, the nearest major port. They can sort everything out there, report to authorities, file salvage claims, try to figure out what the hell happened. Deveau volunteers to captain the Mary Celeste. Takes 2 men with him. They'll sail her to Gibraltar. Should take a few days. Weather is good. Should be straightforward. Morehouse will sail the Dei Gratia alongside. Both ships set course for Gibraltar. It takes several days. Sailing is slow, but steady. Both ships arrived December 13th, 9 days after finding the Mary Celeste. And immediately, authorities are suspicious. Very suspicious. Think about it from their perspective. 2 ships, same route, same destination. One captain conveniently finds the other abandoned, claims salvage rights, claims a valuable cargo. That's awfully convenient, isn't it? Too convenient. Is this insurance fraud? Did Morehouse and Briggs plan this together? Stage an abandonment? Kill the crew? Sink them? Hide the bodies? Split the salvage money? It's been done before. Maritime fraud is common. The authorities aren't stupid. They've seen this scam. So they launch an investigation, a formal board of inquiry. They want answers, and they're going to get them. They examine every inch of the Mary Celeste, every board, every rope, every sail, looking for evidence of crime, of fraud, of violence, of anything that explains this. They find nothing. No blood, no signs of struggle, no bullet holes, no knife marks, no damage except normal wear from a month at sea. They examine the cargo carefully, looking for theft, for tampering, for anything missing. Everything is intact. All 1,701 barrels accounted for. Well, 1,692, 9 empty. But that's normal, expected, nothing stolen, nothing disturbed. They interview everyone, Morehouse, Deveau, every member of both crews, separately, one by one, looking for inconsistencies, looking for contradictions, looking for lies, looking for any sign that these men are working together, that this is a conspiracy. Everyone's story matches perfectly, exactly. We found the ship abandoned, exactly as described. No one aboard, everything intact. We sailed it here. That's all. That's everything we know. The investigators are frustrated, furious even. They can't find evidence of crime, but they also can't find any reason why the ship would be abandoned, and that bothers them. Because ships don't just get abandoned. Not seaworthy ships. Not ships with valuable cargo. Not ships with captains' families aboard. There has to be a reason. There has to be an explanation. But they can't find one. The inquiry drags on. Weeks, then months. They bring in experts, maritime specialists, shipbuilders, sailors with decades of experience, insurance investigators, lawyers. Everyone has theories. Everyone has opinions. Nobody has proof. Nobody has answers. Nobody can explain what actually happened. Finally, after months, a conclusion, a compromise. The court awards Morehouse and his crew salvage rights, but a reduced amount, much less than they requested, much less than the ship and cargo are worth. The court is suspicious. They think something isn't right, but they can't prove it, so they compromise. Give them some money, but not the full amount, as a punishment for something they can't prove but suspect. As for why the Mary Celeste was abandoned, no conclusion, no official explanation, just speculation, just theories, just guesses. The official record just says unknown, and that's where it stays for 150 years. Unknown. But unknown isn't good enough. Not when 10 people died. Not when a 2-year-old child died. Not when families lost fathers and husbands and a mother and a daughter. So let me speed through the official theories so you can see how pathetic they are. Theory 1. Pirates attacked, killed everyone, took valuables, left. But there's no violence, no blood, no bodies, no signs of struggle. And pirates don't leave valuable cargo. Don't leave the ship itself. Pirates steal. That's literally the entire point of piracy. This explains nothing. Theory 2. Mutiny. The crew rose up, killed the captain and his family, escaped the lifeboat to avoid capture. But again, no violence, no blood, no bodies. And mutineers don't abandon a good ship for a lifeboat. You mutiny to take control of the ship, not to die at sea. That defeats the entire purpose. And Briggs was known as a fair captain, religious, kind, paid well, not someone who inspires mutiny, not someone who mistreats his crew. This makes no sense. Theory 3. Waterspout. A tornado over water, sudden, violent, hit the ship, scared everyone. They panicked and abandoned, but waterspouts leave damage, massive damage, torn sails, broken masts, splintered wood, structural damage. The Mary Celeste had none of that, just normal wear from a month at sea. And waterspouts are visible. Crews see them coming from miles away. They don't cause instant panic. They cause preparation, battening down hatches, securing cargo, taking down sails, not immediate abandonment. This doesn't fit the evidence. Theory 4. Alcohol fumes. This is the official favorite, the theory everyone clings to. The cargo was denatured alcohol. Maybe fumes built up in the hold, created an explosion risk. The crew smelled it, panicked, thought the ship would explode any second, abandoned temporarily, tied the lifeboat to the ship, planned to return once the danger passed, but the rope broke. They drifted away, couldn't row back against the current, died at sea from exposure. The ship survived. They didn't. Tragic accident. This sounds reasonable, sounds scientific, sounds like it could explain everything until you actually think about it. Denatured alcohol doesn't explode easily. It needs confinement, pressure, heat. Open air dissipates fumes. That's basic chemistry. And even if there was an explosion risk, even if fumes were building up, you don't abandon ship. You solve the problem. You open the hatches. Ventilate the hold. Let the fumes dissipate. Problem solved in 10 minutes. You definitely don't put your 2-year-old daughter in a lifeboat in the open Atlantic in December. That's certain death. Guaranteed death. Slow, horrible death from exposure. Briggs knew that. He'd been sailing for decades. He owned part of the ship, had financial stake. He wouldn't abandon his investment over some fumes, not without trying to fix it first, not without at least attempting to ventilate. And there's no evidence of explosion risk, no scorch marks, no heat damage, no signs of fire, nothing. This theory sounds good, but explains nothing. Theory 5. Earthquake. Underwater seismic activity. Shook the ship, made terrible noises, creaking, groaning. The crew thought the ship was breaking apart, thought it was sinking, panicked, abandoned, but there's no record of earthquakes in that area on those dates. No other ships reported tremors, no seismic activity documented. And ships are designed to flex, to handle waves, to move with the ocean. A little shaking doesn't make experienced sailors abandon ship. They check for damage first. Look for leaks. Assess the situation, not just immediately abandon. This doesn't match sailor behavior. Theory 6, optical illusion. Captain Briggs saw something, thought he saw land, thought they were near the Azores, thought they were in shallow water about to crash on rocks, ordered everyone into the lifeboat to reach shore before the ship sank. But there was no land, no rocks, no danger. They were 400 miles from the Azores, open ocean, deep water, no obstacles. And Briggs had charts, navigation instruments, decades of experience. He knew exactly where they were. He wouldn't mistake open ocean for shallow reefs. This requires him to be completely incompetent. And he wasn't. His record proves that. And I'm going to say something now that's going to make half of you click away. And that's fine, because if you stay, if you keep watching, you're going to see something that can't be unseen. The Mary Celeste crew didn't just abandon ship. They didn't just panic over nothing. They encountered something that 3 different groups of people across 3 different centuries in 3 different locations all encountered. And every single time, without exception, people vanish. Are you still with me? Because what comes next is where the evidence gets undeniable. Hit that like button if every official explanation sounds like complete garbage to you. Because it is. Every theory has massive holes. Every single one requires you to ignore evidence, to overlook impossibilities, to accept that experienced people suddenly became incompetent for no reason. So let me ask you directly. You're Captain Briggs. Your ship is perfect. You have food, water, shelter. Your wife and 2-year-old daughter are with you. The weather is clear. The ocean is calm. Your cargo is secure. Everything is fine. What makes you get in a lifeboat? What makes you row away from safety into certain death? Think about that decision. Really visualize it. A lifeboat in the Atlantic in December, that's death. Slow, agonizing death, exposure, dehydration, hypothermia. Maybe 3 days if you're very lucky. And Briggs knew that. He understood the ocean better than almost anyone. He understood survival. He knew getting in that boat meant dying. And he did it anyway. Here's what I really think happened, and people are going to hate this. They're going to call me crazy. They're going to say I'm making things up. But I don't think they abandoned ship because of anything we just discussed. Not fumes, not waterspouts, not earthquakes, not pirates, not optical illusions. I think they saw something in the water, or something in the sky, or something on the horizon. Something that made staying on the ship impossible. Something that broke their understanding of safety. Something that made a father look at his 2-year-old daughter and decide a lifeboat in winter was the safer choice. Think about that decision. The weight of that decision. A lifeboat in December in the Atlantic means death. Everyone knows that. Everyone understands that, and he chose it anyway. He put Sarah in that boat. He put Sophia in that boat. He put his entire crew in that boat. And they rowed away from the only thing keeping them alive. Why? What could possibly make that the rational choice? What could be so terrifying that certain death seems better? I think they saw something that shattered their understanding of reality. Something that made their solid, seaworthy ship seem dangerous. And the open ocean seem safe. That's the only explanation that accounts for the evidence. The only explanation that makes their decision rational. And here's what connects to Flight 19. Remember Day 2? Remember what Lieutenant Taylor said? Even the ocean doesn't look as it should. He was describing something impossible, a visual distortion, a perception shift. reality not matching what should be there. What if the crew of the Mary Celeste experienced the same thing? What if they looked at their ship and it didn't look right anymore? What if reality shifted around them? What if they saw something emerging from the water near the ship? Something rising up? Something approaching? Something that made their solid vessel seem like a trap and the open ocean seem like the only escape route? I think there are places on Earth where reality thins, where the barriers between dimensions weaken, where things from elsewhere can reach through, or where people can slip through to elsewhere. The Bermuda Triangle where Flight 19 vanished, the Pyrenees where the man from Taured appeared, and this stretch of the Atlantic, 400 miles west of the Azores. Ships vanish here, crews disappear, strange lights are reported, compasses malfunction, the same symptoms, the same pattern every single time. And I think the Mary Celeste sailed into one of these thin places, one of these weak spots in reality. They saw something coming through from the other side, or a doorway opening, or reality itself distorting, and they reacted. Pure instinct, fight or flight, no rational thought, just survival instinct screaming at them to run. They grabbed the lifeboat, loaded everyone, Sarah, Sophia, all 7 crew, and they rowed. Not toward safety, because there was no safety. Away from danger, away from whatever they'd seen on their ship, or near their ship, or coming toward their ship. They rowed as hard as they could, and then they cut the rope, deliberately cut themselves free, because whatever they were running from was following, or because the ship itself had become the danger, or maybe they rowed toward something. Maybe what they saw looked like rescue, looked like land, looked like safety. An island where there should be no island, a light where there should be no light, a ship where there should be no ship. But it wasn't real. It was an illusion, a trap, a doorway to somewhere else. And when they reached it, when they rowed close enough, it closed around them, and they were gone, removed from our reality, taken to wherever the man from Taured came from, wherever Flight 19 went. Does this sound insane? Yes, absolutely insane. But give me a better explanation. One single explanation that accounts for all the evidence. A careful captain, religious, experienced, part owner of his ship, with his wife and infant daughter aboard, abandoning everything, choosing guaranteed death. Explain that naturally. I'm genuinely waiting. The Mary Celeste isn't a maritime curiosity. It's not a historical puzzle. It's a horror story. It's a nightmare. 10 people looked at something and decided dying was the better option. A father looked at whatever he saw and decided his 2-year-old daughter had a better chance in a lifeboat in winter than staying on his ship. A 2-year-old child died because her father thought the open Atlantic was safer than the Mary Celeste. That's not panic. That's not confusion. That's not poor judgment. That's encountering something so impossible, so fundamentally wrong, so terrifying, that every survival instinct reverses. Everything you know about safety stops making sense, and you choose death because death seems safer. And here's what keeps me awake at night. It's still happening, right now, today. Ships are still found empty. Crews still disappear, not as often. We have better technology now, better communication, satellite tracking, radio. But it still happens. Small yachts found drifting, fishing boats discovered empty, no crew, no explanation, no distress calls, just gone. The pattern continues, same symptoms, same impossibility, same result. And we keep making excuses, keep inventing comfortable explanations, keep refusing to ask the real question, the question that matters. What are they seeing? What makes rational people choose death? What exists in our oceans that we refuse to acknowledge? I've studied the Mary Celeste for years, read every account I could find, every theory, every investigation report, every witness statement, contemporary newspaper articles, modern analyses, everything, and none of them satisfy me, none of them explain the core mystery, none of them answer why a rational person would make such an irrational choice, unless the choice wasn't irrational, unless from their perspective, from what they were seeing, from what they were experiencing, leaving the ship made perfect sense, was logical, was survival, was the only option that gave them any chance. But survival from what? That's what the official investigations never ask. They give you mechanisms, fumes, earthquakes, water spouts. But they don't ask about motivation. They don't ask the why. Why would you rather die than stay on that ship? Why would you choose exposure and dehydration over food and shelter? Why would you put your child in a boat that guarantees her death? Answer that question and you solve the mystery. But nobody wants to answer it because the answer is disturbing. The answer suggests something exists in our world that we don't want to acknowledge. Something that can make experienced people see safety as danger. Something that can reverse every survival instinct. Something that has been doing this for centuries. Here's what you need to see. The pattern across all 3 days. Day 1. The man from Taured looked at maps and insisted they were wrong. Reality didn't match his documents. Reality didn't match his memory. Day 2. Flight 19 looked at the ocean and said it looked wrong. Reality didn't match what they were seeing. Day 3. The Mary Celeste crew looked at something and abandoned safety. Reality didn't match what should be safe. Every single case, people insist reality is wrong. Not their perception, not their instruments, not their memory, reality itself. And then they vanish completely without trace. That's not coincidence. That's not random. That's a pattern. And patterns mean something. Patterns mean causation. Patterns mean there's something consistent happening, something systematic, something we're not seeing, something that connects these impossible events across time and distance and circumstance. And by day 7, you're going to see the full picture. You're going to understand what's causing this. But only if you're here for every video. Only if you see each piece of the puzzle. Tomorrow, day 4, Dyatlov Pass, February 1959. 9 experienced hikers in the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. Expert mountaineers. People who knew winter survival better than most humans alive. They cut through their tent from the inside, slashed through it with knives, didn't use the entrance, didn't bother with the door flap, just cut straight through and ran into a blizzard, negative 30 degrees Celsius, barefoot, some in just underwear, no coats, no boots, no supplies, nothing. They ran down the mountain into the forest. They were found weeks later, frozen, but some of them had injuries that can't be explained, crushed ribs, like being hit by a car, but no external bruises, no impact marks, fractured skulls, massive internal trauma. And one woman, Lyudmila Dubinina, was missing her tongue, her eyes, soft tissue removed, not torn, not eaten by animals, just gone. The Soviet investigation, conducted by a government that explained everything through materialist science, reached an official conclusion. Death by unknown compelling force. Unknown compelling force. Not avalanche, not hypothermia, not bear attack. Unknown compelling force. That's what the Soviet Union concluded. They couldn't explain it. wouldn't explain it, just like they couldn't explain the Mary Celeste, just like the U.S. Navy couldn't explain Flight 19. The pattern is documented, official, in government records, undeniable. Here's what I want from you right now. This is important. Put yourself in that exact situation. You're on the Mary Celeste, everything's fine. Normal morning, ship is solid, food is ready, your family is safe, you're drinking coffee, and then you look at something, you see something, and suddenly everything changes. Suddenly getting in a lifeboat makes sense. Suddenly rowing away from your ship seems rational. Suddenly exposing your daughter to winter ocean seems like the safer choice. What did you see? What would make that decision logical? Go to the comments right now. Build me a scenario, a situation, something that justifies abandoning that ship. Be specific, be detailed, use your imagination, because I can't think of one. I've tried for years. I've run through every scenario I can imagine, every possibility, and the ship is always safer, always the better choice, always the logical decision, unless something makes it not, unless something changes the fundamental equation, unless reality itself shifts and safety becomes danger. Team natural explanation or team something else? You have to pick one. You can't stay neutral on this. The evidence won't let you. Pick a side and defend it. Be specific. If you say alcohol fumes, explain why a part owner who had financial stake in the ship would abandon his investment instead of spending 10 minutes venting the hold. If you say waterspout, explain the complete lack of structural damage. If you say earthquake, show me the seismic data from other ships in the area. If you say pirates, show me the violence. Show me the blood. Show me the stolen cargo. If you say mutiny, explain why mutineers would abandon a valuable ship for a lifeboat. Every single theory has massive holes, gaps you could sail a ship through, so fill them. Make it make sense. Give me a coherent explanation that accounts for all the evidence. Or admit that maybe, just maybe, we don't understand what happened. Maybe something exists outside our normal framework of reality. Maybe the world is stranger than we're comfortable admitting. Subscribe right now, because tomorrow is day 4 of 7, Dyatlov Pass. The most disturbing case yet, the most documented, 9 people, negative 30 degrees, barefoot in snow, running from their tent like it was on fire, but it wasn't, and I'm going to show you it's the exact same pattern, the same phenomenon, the same impossible force making people abandon safety and run toward death. Turn on all notifications, bell icon, all, not just some, all, because this series builds. Each video is a piece of a larger puzzle. Miss one video and you miss critical connections. Miss one day and the pattern doesn't make sense. You need all 7 days to see what's really happening, what's been happening for centuries. Drop your theory below right now. Mary Celeste, what did they see? What made a father choose death for his family? I want scenarios. I want explanations. I want you to really think about this. Convince me I'm wrong, or agree with me and tell me why. Either way, engage. Think critically. Question everything, because 10 people died. A child died. They deserve better than unknown. They deserve actual answers. And maybe, just maybe, by day 7, we'll have them. And here's something I haven't told you yet. Something about Dyatlov Pass that connects directly to what happened here. The Soviet investigators found something at the scene, something they documented, something they photographed, something they couldn't explain and didn't want to explain, something that suggests those 9 hikers saw the exact same thing the Mary Celeste crew saw, something that made staying in a warm tent seem more dangerous than running barefoot into a blizzard. I'll show you the evidence tomorrow. The actual photographs, the actual autopsy reports, the actual official documents. But I'm warning you now, Day 4 is disturbing. It's graphic. It's the most documented impossible case in history. And after you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. See you in 24 hours.